Hi, guys. Welcome back. Today I have Mr. Voight Thornton, and I have to tell you, that sounds like a billionaire's name.
I like that. Thank you.
It does. It's like Mr. Voight Thornton, you know?
That is awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Mr. Voight Thornton, he is a SubTo community member. He's a real estate investor. He's a businessman, a digital creator, a DJ, a vlogger, and a handsome sweetheart. I'm sure there's a few more things I could have put in there, but I ran out of space.
That is so sweet of you. I appreciate that so much. And like I said off camera, I don't know about the handsome part of it, but
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You're so awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for
You're
having me.
welcome. You're your own worst critic. That goes for everybody. You know, everybody else sees you way better than you see yourself.
That is so funny. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. So why don't you start by telling us about how you found SubTo and when you joined?
Great question. So I was going through the YouTube kind of rabbit hole, right? So, and I was looking to get back into real estate because in 2007 and 2008, I flipped a home and it's on the market forever. So I flipped before, so I was like, it was a bad situation. However, it came out to be really good when it came down to the learning side of things. So I knew I was gonna get back into real estate investing later in life. So I was like, hey, this is a perfect year to do it. So I started, searching around. I did a Google search, and Pace had popped up, and he was talking about an LLC, and he's breaking down his structure of an LLC on the board, and no one has ever broke down an LLC like that before and told us like, this is my property, this is what I'm doing, here's what I use Prime, corporate services, telling you all the secrets right there. And I was like, well, this guy's giving out a lot of gems. He's, on this YouTube video, just a short clip. So I started digging a little bit more into Pace, and then saw that he had videos, was looking everything he was doing. I was like, wow, this is amazing. All the information he was providing, and just so open and transparent. So that's how I got in February of 20th. Once I looked at that video,
February when?
February 20th, 2024 this year. So
oh wow.
Yeah, a little bit over 90 days now or something like that. So
wow, I didn't realize you were that new.
Yeah, super new. So yeah.
You just seem like such an OG to me. OG
Oh,
stands
right?
for original gangster.
I appreciate that. Once I dove in, I just kind of went head first. I dove in and got into the content and just jumped in the community as soon as I could. And the community's been amazing. Like yourself, I mean, being like a pillar of the community when it comes down to podcasting and your consistency when it comes down to your YouTube and posting. It's amazing. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So, man, you're like me. You like when you find something and you got a really good gut feeling about it, you just like go hard, like full steam ahead.
All the way.
You went, you did a flip for your very first real estate experience.
Yeah. So in 2007, so many moons ago, and if you know when the market bends, that's when they hit the crash in the market. So we started in 07. So actually, let me take it back. I took a real estate course, which was under James Smith. So it was called like the real estate investing, the best real estate investing course. I went to that in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is in 2007 with my sister Chiffon. And so out of that course, I was like, we're sitting there like, hey, we're going to get into this no matter what. I don't care what the cost is. I'm getting into this course, whatever. So the guy finishes up. He says, head to the back, if you want to sign up for the program. So that program was $8,000. So I take out my Capital One. I was like, here you go. Take my money. Take my money. We're going to sign up for this course. And all he got is like three books, like pretty thick books, just to read to understand real estate. So they talked about a little bit, for sale by owners. They had some SubTo in there, SubTo 2, but never knew what that was. I didn't even know when I was reading through all that stuff at one time. And this is in 2007.
You might not have even really known what that was at that time.
Yeah. Not at all. It's so crazy, and it's in the book because I was actually still have it. It's so funny on that, and I can show you that too. But so I jumped right into it and started studying probably for a week. And then a buddy of mine, he was actually selling his personal home. He was like, hey, I need some help getting this repaired, and then let's flip it and move this house, because he's just moving on into another home himself.
So
So
he was just a traditional homeowner.
yeah, traditional
When you get
homeowner.
into investing.
Yes, and he's an attorney. So he's an attorney in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and a good friend of mine at that point in time.
Okay, and
But he
he
just
knew
wouldn't get.
you did this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had worked on some projects before previously, and I just said let's. I said yeah, I'm definitely down. I can help you out. I've never done it before, but he's trusted me to start the process. So just jumped right in and flipped, and we went through pretty much the nightmares of flipping, I guess you could say, from contractors to city to police officers. I'm gonna tell this story like when it comes down like on my YouTube as well, but I learned so much from
Can
it.
you do
Honestly,
you have like a 5-minute version or less?
yeah, I do. So basically, when it comes down to it, we started flipping the home. We got handymen, not licensed. We're not licensed professionals at all. So they like, oh, this is all it's going to cost to fix this house up. I'm like, oh, this is great. $5,000, $6,000. Then it was like they were just knick-knacking after that. Well, we need another 1,000 for this. We need another 1,000 for this. Oh, this is not working. Blah blah. And then we came back and the city was like, this is not repaired the correct way. So we basically had to hire a new licensed and bonded, and then kind of redo their mishaps and everything too. So
What was the true cost? The handyman said 5,000-6,000. What was the true cost when the contractor came in?
After that, I spent $15,000 on the transaction. So I was thinking only spending maybe at the most like 7,000, and I ended up like spending 15,000, and he spent like another 10 on the home as well. So we're
altogether 25.
25 altogether. Yeah, it's kind of, and that came from like city stuff that things were up to code and new codes and all that, permits and all that. So we learned the hard way. So I ended up losing money on that. But the biggest thing is I learned. That was the biggest thing too. And I know what to do, now, moving forward, and what I've done with my own home when it's time to hire and things of that nature. So it was a good learning experience. Honestly, it really was. I'm thankful for it.
So whatever the amount of money that you lost on that deal, you chalked it up as that's the money you spent on valuable application lessons.
I love it. The way you broke that down is absolutely true. That's exactly what it was. So I told myself, and he asked me, he's like, I know it went bad. He apologized. I said, don't even apologize at all. There's no reason for that. He said, would you ever do this again? I was like, absolutely. Because like if you're like in played sports or you're doing anything, I played sports in my life. So you're never winning every race. You're never scoring every touchdown. So I was like, I just equate it to sports. And that's how it is. That's how
wow. See, I knew that's how you thought. That's why I brought that up.
You know me too well.
So it was YouTube that you actually found Pace, right?
I did. Yeah. You know how with his advertising and everything, once you search something on real estate, it's like he's popping up in Arizona. And that was it. And all the value.
I found him back in like late 2022, and I didn't end up joining till like April 23. But awesome. When I found him and started listening to him, I started having these epiphanies. Mm-hmm. And I was like, because I was kind of, after the pandemic, I was like, oh, what is going on? How's this going to play out in the market? Blah, blah, blah. And I felt like the Mandalorian. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the way when I started watching Pace. And that's why I got that little Yoda, baby Yoda.
Yeah, you're
from the Mandalorian. He's got the SubTo hat on. This is the way.
I always see him just hanging out over your shoulder. He's like, I love it. That's a good, it's a great story. That's a great story too. But no, you're right. I mean, just it's unlike anything else. And just kind of going back to the old situation where I actually did the other real estate transaction, you're on your own. I actually had a trainer for like 5 weeks to just check in and say, hey, you need to do this. You need to make calls. You need to do this. And then he's only called like for a 20-minute call. That was it. It was like trying to keep me on track, and that was it. I thought that's how it was. 2007. I didn't have any other thing to compare. And I was like, okay, this is how it is. Right. You do a training for 6 weeks, and you just try to go flip a home, and that's how it was. So
yeah, I feel like that's one of the main reasons. There's a handful of them, but I feel like that's one of the main reasons a lot of people get stuck and have a hard time really getting started, because they're afraid they won't be able to handle it if it all goes south.
Yes.
And we get a lot of encouragement, and we get a lot of support, and we have a lot of resources in the community. but
Right.
still there's still always that risk. It's never 100%
Really?
risk free.
You
So I feel
said
like
it.
that keeps a lot of people stuck.
It does. That's a very
That
good point. Too. Just having not having that, having a support system even is a scary situation too. You just never know. You're navigating waters that you've never done before, but it's something new. But it's one of those deals like anything we do in life is we have to kind of just jump out there, out of our own skin, and then find out, where we need to go. And there's going to with the group that we have. I mean, we're going to have that support, something to follow on. We're going to have some type of case study that we can fall back on, which is nice. I know back in the day we didn't have that. It was kind of like, okay, let's see what happens, and you learn from the letters that come to you or the calls that you get said you did this wrong, or so.
right.
But at least we have a little bit of that, which is nice. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, and you speaking of working together, you have a team put together, right?
Building that team in like 90 days, and I've been like showing the behind the scenes while like traveling and going to SWAT Up Summit in Orlando. So steadily building. So the background of the team is I started with Start Virtual, which is owned by like a little bit of Pace and then Cody as well. They're in on that transaction, which is I have.
Saw you on that Zoom. I was like,
Right.
that's my guy. Look at Floyd. He's on this Zoom and Pace is on it.
It's so awesome. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for that. It was fun. Yeah. It was just, as soon as I got in, like I had mentioned before on that Zoom, is I was listening to the videos, and Pacer said if I'd started, all over, here's how I would do it. Is I'd get VAs, I'd do expired listings, I would do pre-foreclosures. I would just stop the video and said, you know what, I'm gonna buy right now. So I just stopped the video and start setting up appointments for Start Virtual at that point in time. So I have 2 VAs, one that's helping out with skip tracing. So that means pulling leads from expired listings and pre-foreclosures here in Arizona. And then I have one that's making the calls as well, which has been
actually let's tell everybody. Wrong one. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I need a production assistant over here.
I know you're a one lady show, and I love it. You do amazing.
Sometimes I mess up, but here we go. Okay, so you're focusing. See the little focus there?
I like it. Yeah, that's so cool.
You focus on expired listings and pre-foreclosures, you were saying.
Yeah, so focusing on pre-foreclosures, expired listings, and then they tee everything up. So they make the calls throughout the week. So Tuesday through Saturdays, I have the schedule, and it's very flexible. That's the thing. You can set the schedule with what you like to do when it comes down to it, and then it goes over to the acquisition leaders. So right now I'm working with Jarrett, with David Moody, and then Charles Baldwin. So he's out in Charles is actually calling now. He's making calls. He's out in New York area. So really cool.
The follow-ups and closers that you have on your team.
Yes. So follow-up and closers right now, and then Jared and David are actually helping out with some of the like comping as well. So while we're going through that process and just learning all together, honestly. And
they're writers.
And they're trying to understand our cadence of what we need to do, because still working a W-2, when you go through that process, you still got to just kind of balance different things different ways as well. And I know building the team is the quickest way that I want to kind of get things going and build that build as fast as I can, as much as I can, yeah. And then kind of work out the, all the kinks after that, So still, it's always a work in progress every day. It's something, but it's I've been loving it right now.
I had Chris Thompson on the podcast before.
Yes.
And, he's like big in Western Maryland. I went to his meetup like 2 or 3 times before I moved out here.
Yeah.
And, I asked him what he would do different if he started all over again today. And that's exactly what he said, was put a team together, start a team.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. That's so awesome. It's good to hear. It's good to hear, especially from other people in the community and what they're doing. So I know that was the biggest thing. I've seen you on a lot of Zooms too. When it comes down to, you're on the Zooms, I always see you. But it's good what you've been.
Butterfly.
Yeah, no, it's so.
I flit all over the place. Hey guys.
Yeah, it's good because we can glean knowledge from everybody, or be a sponge, and that's the biggest thing too. Like every little person that you're meeting with, every person you're meeting with, you can learn something from, honestly, and that's the biggest thing. And then not just learn, but apply something to it that you've learned as well. So
yes, and that Start Virtual. He started that business with Cody, right? Cody Barton.
Yes. Yeah, he did. So they've got that
really good about, whenever there's a problem that a lot of people in the community are having,
Right.
He will not just solve the problem, he'll build a business around it. And if
Yeah.
there's a student who has an idea how to solve the problem, he will
Yes.
help that student build a business around it.
Isn't that crazy? It's so
I
cool.
mean,
So
yeah,
cool.
he's
Just
it's like
yeah, just
a
total
mentorship,
solution.
a coaching program, a community, a business partner,
Yeah.
everything all in
Friend
one.
and friend, and everything too. So it makes
Yes.
it totally different. That's the thing, and that's what I like about it. And it's a totally different. It's like night and day from when I first started like real estate investing as well.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
Are
No,
you in any other programs in SubTo, like Gator or anything like that?
no, I would love to be in Gator. I have not. I told myself, let me focus on one thing and try to,
Right.
at first and just like boom,
You're so smart. Especially since
yes,
you just got into February. Because most of us will be like, let's do all the things. Oh my gosh, I'm broke and I can't even do all the
oh,
things because I got too much.
I can happen to all of us. They call it the shiny object syndrome, and it's true. It can happen. There's just so many things that fly around, and understand that you are with the money bee. You're in the money bee, right? And I want to
Yes.
jump on that Zoom, and I didn't jump on it because I was like, I know me. I'll like jump on everything and do it, So I was like, let me
Well,
focus.
here's why I jumped on it and
Yeah.
didn't like because I've been in SubTo for a little bit now, so I've learned how to pick and choose carefully the things that I really want to get into and be
Okay.
able to say, even though they look good, some things I got to say, you know what, that'll be too much. Let me just. But
Right.
I knew in the Money Bee Challenge that there was going to be a new software released.
Right. Right. I've been hearing
Lead
that.
generating software. So I
Hearing that.
hopped in there. I'm like, let's go. Let me see this. Let's see.
That's
Plus,
so awesome.
there's also, new people that aren't in SubTo yet
Sure.
that a lot of them will most likely become a near future SubTo community members. And, you can get in there, meet them, help them, work
Yes.
together with them.
It's so true.
Plus, I just love hearing Big Brother Pace talk.
Yeah, it's so good. And when it's live, I think it's like sometimes it's like you're right there, then and there. It's not like you're watching the replay. That live has that feeling, right? Like everybody's there, everybody's in the chat,
Yeah.
talking, trading information and ideas. It's so cool. Yeah, that live feeling is really good. So
he could
that's
be
why.
having a Zoom about the same thing 5 times, and every single time there will be new nuggets that
Sure.
he'll drop.
Isn't that
I
crazy?
mean,
It's so crazy. You'll learn something new. You're like, wow, you gotta have your notepad out. You gotta have like things ready to be written down because it's like, look at this or check this out or try this. You're like, oh, that's what I need to do, or I need to talk to that person. And that's how you learn new people. Like, hey, you need to talk to this person. You need to talk to this person. It's
yeah,
amazing. Then you write them down. Like, okay,
exactly. I mean, the chat, he encourages you to network with each other and stuff in the chat when we're in there.
so
It's
nice.
just like, yeah, I mean, like, what was it the other day? He did like we didn't have much notice, but it was like a family night Q&A.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
I did too.
yeah, it was like a new guy, a young guy, and
Yep.
he asked pace of relationship / marriage, whatever question.
Yep.
2 hours he went on about relationships, and everybody in the chat's like, "Oh, this is gold." He's like, "You guys will talk about this?" We're like, "Yes, yes."
It's so good. I mean, like you said, that's truly like known as like it's family night. You can see why because it's outside of just real estate. It's like learning about the person, who you are, interest, and everything. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's like whatever we need to hear at the time. It is, whether it's, business related or not. Most of the time it is, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah, it's so true. You're spot on that too. I love
Yeah.
that. And then like what you said, like when the technology hits, it's like you're on it too. So I know you're like speed to lead and speed to like program, like I am too. So I know
Yeah,
right here.
I don't know how, but every time there's something new released, it even blows the last thing out of the water, even though the last thing was phenomenal.
I
And
know.
it's like, how is
I
this
know.
possible? It just keeps getting better and better and
It
better
does.
and better.
It does. It really does. There's so much going on too. And then coming up is next month. So I'm just trying to like head down, keep focused. But it's the Owners Club here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So it's almost a week long that they're just deep diving into the business, making sure how you can start setting up what they call your Molly or your person that's going to be your executive assistant, things of that nature. And pretty much, I'm sure it's going to be really like personal stuff, where you have to really dig down and.
That should be, I just had this idea. That should be Molly's next business. You
Okay,
know,
cool.
she had Pace helped her start the top tier transaction coordinating thing.
Right. Hmm.
But now she could start a business showing people how to be an executive assistant to a business owner.
It's so good. Endless possibilities if you think about it. The stuff she's
Mhm.
learned and such that I'm sure it's such a short period of time. I'm sure she has like 20 years of plus knowledge just who she's
Yeah.
you know within
Speaking of, did you know the story of how he was able to acquire Molly's
from
services?
Squad Up Summit from her
I
previous
did.
real estate investor. Isn't that crazy? Remember
I
that?
was so surprised I never heard that story before. And
You
my
did.
girlfriend sitting next to me, she's like, "You never heard that? You know everything in there." And I'm like, "I know, right? No, I never heard this story."
Always was nothing. She just never know. That was the first time, well, being so new, but that was amazing. Like she was working with one of the top real estate investors and then moved on to Pace when after the guy had passed. So it's like
When the guy
really,
passed,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Oh my gosh, he's such a great storyteller
Yes.
too.
Very
I
good. Yep.
mean, he
It's
tells it matter of factly, but the way
Mhm.
that he just tells it, you feel like a little kid, like,
Yeah.
oh, the whole time. You know?
You sit there like no, it's like pop the popcorn out and like oh you're sitting there. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. Really good. And I think it's the biggest thing of what the amount of practice, him being in those hard like those situations, putting himself in different situations, TV show, in front of the community all the time, even like what you're doing. I mean, interviewing people all the time to get to know people. So it just makes it gets easier, right? So when it's time to tell stories or speak, it makes it a lot easier for you. So and you do a wonderful job
And the
in it as
way
well.
he tells the stories, like the one that of how he acquired Molly, it's
Yeah.
like he has insight on the whole entire situation that goes way deep, way below the
Sure.
surface. Like,
Sure.
for example, when he was telling the story, he was doing it freestyle. There's no script. He was just
Yeah.
telling the story. He was like, what I didn't realize is the real reason that I went to this party. I thought it was to meet so and so, but in actuality, it was to meet so and so.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, 'cause that's how
Yeah.
I think. I'm like, you don't realize everything
What?
while you're in the middle of it, but
Yes.
hindsight's 2020. So when you're
Missing
out
it?
of it, you're like,
That's
oh,
well
you
the
know?
real yeah, that was the real gem of everything. You're like, oh, I'm going for one reason, and then you found out the actual reason you were there.
And then
So it's
he also learned, I love the lessons that he leaves behind too. Like he also told us that I learned time waits for no one.
oh
Do
man,
not wait because you never know if you
true,
might not be able to see that person again or
so
not
true.
be able to do the thing because the opportunity doesn't give you a warning saying,
Okay.
"Hey, I'm getting ready to be gone. I'm your last chance for this opportunity. I will be gone." It's just gone.
It's all true. In your and we had talked about this when I met you in Orlando too, and then
Mhm.
it was like outside too. We talked about our experiences as well, and that's like kind of how a bond it was too, because you're absolutely right on that too. Just from our parents, your parents, and everything too. Just the experience we've had, with that very similar too. So you just have to,
Yeah.
So
And even the bad times, we don't learn and grow when things are great all the time. We
right.
learn through adversity.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And you know what's so cool? It's like meeting you, and then from you moving to Maryland, telling that story of Maryland to Louisiana, plus going to Squad Up. That's like a lot of pressure, and for you to pull that off, it's remarkable. To be there, like, and be able to show up and still be present, it's like crazy. So stuff like that, and
I
drive into it. So
I'm
it's like,
telling you,
oh,
I have this thing I say a lot. I trust in my path, right? Because like one of my personal beliefs is that we kind of map certain major events of our life before we come here, right? And so sometimes when I get the urge or I get a feeling like, I'll analyze it and meditate on it or whatever. But when I'm getting a strong pull or push towards something and I'm like, why am I being pulled towards this? This sounds absolutely nuts and crazy. But then I'm like, I trust in my path. And that whole thing that I went through, I was able to sit back and say, I mean, remaining modest while saying this, I was able to sit back and say, wow, I'm impressed with myself. I can't believe I just went did that. That was
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. You pushed the limits of what you were thinking like you could do at that point in time, and but you did it. You're like, hey, I'm moving out, and moving out is, as we all know, it's not. That's a chore. It doesn't matter if you have a couple things or a lot of it. It's just still a chore. Plus traveling, driving, and
And
it's
I
like,
did
oh
it
my
by
god,
myself.
it's amazing. So you gotta say like, kudos to you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I was because watching the story from on the YouTube and everything too, and I commented, I just like, wow, that's amazing to move. And then it's
I
not
most people were probably like, she's freaking crazy. Something's wrong with that girl.
no, it's something else. Sometimes just like you said, when you feel it, and you know it was right. And I think that's what it was like with how joining the community and stuff too. It's like you just knew it was time. It made sense, and then yeah. And I think that's where I was at too, when it comes down to. But that's remarkable. Same thing with Squad Up Summit. A lot of this stuff, when I got into it, I was like, this is a no-brainer of the programs and what was given. You can just see from the value, the transparency, just everything's so straight up and it's out there.
Yeah.
So that's what I love. That's what I really love about it.
I could totally understand and resonated with pace and, I don't know. I think our languages that we speak are a little familiar. And I feel like a lot of people in the SubTo community can attest to that. Because,
Good point.
like he says, your vibe attracts your tribe, right?
It's true. You said that too. I remember you had said that too when we talked. You really resonated. It just, he speaks your language when it comes down to, yeah.
I can tell you what, though. I was crying right before he came on stage for the first time. You know how all the guest speakers and then him and Jamil and everybody had like this kind of like an intro video, talked about who they were and what they did, even though we all knew Pace, right?
Yeah,
and where I'm watching it and everybody's in awe and amazement and excitement because Pace is getting ready to come out and the whole thing's getting ready to start. We're watching this intro video, and then he's had these people's videos of testimonials that are speaking about how they knew Pace and what they did with Pace and stuff.
Right.
And then it switched to this girl, and she couldn't even talk. She was crying because she was just so. I was like, I started tearing up. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel you, honey. I feel you.
It's so good when they can grab those. They can grab those heartstrings. It's those, from video, just like you do, and then just the message, right? And it's all that connecting message that out. And there's a reason why we're all here. There's a reason why what drove us to do what we're doing and what we do. So,
I think a lot of people, I think I'm not alone in saying that, a lot of us were really starting to lose faith. Like in a lot of things, like what was going on in the world and life and everything that we had been through up to this point and this and that and the other. And I feel like Pace was not only a leader in the real estate market, he also has no idea how much hope he just poured into people's lives by finding him and hearing him and getting to know him.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And that's, you're right. That's what's needed. The years previously, from 2020, that 2019, 2020 years, it's changed forever, but they have something like they can rebuild and, and be inspired by is definitely remarkable.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. So what are your future goals in SubTo?
Yeah, great question. So, building the team out for sure, when it comes down to not just having maybe 3 acquisition leaders, building out the VA team, I'm hoping in the next 3 months, we're going to be another 2 added on. That's the goal. And then even building on to the acquisition leads or keeping the acquisition leaders, just bringing more, leads in and closing them, at that point in time. So looking, hopefully, is building out a portfolio where I'm building, at least five per month of something that's actively going into process or underwriting, just get that going and then just really scale. I was, wanting to scale, at least making, like netting, quarter 250,000 a year, it comes not a year, like per month of just like doors and, and then, acquisitions, things of that nature. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. In the next,
for any SubTo community members that are watching this, you're looking for a few more team members, is what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Acquisitions, absolutely. Comping, anyone, underwriting as well. And we have a list, on my Blink, which we always use too, of people when we get the deals that we want to work with and as TCs as well. But yeah, absolutely feel free to reach out because you just never know who you can connect with and what we can do,
So let me show people if they SubTo people and non-SubTo people, or are you mainly looking to?
Sure. No, that's fine. I think we all can help one another.
Okay, so here's how you get a hold of Voight if you're interested. So are you just looking, do you just looking to acquire properties in Arizona, or do you have any other markets?
Absolutely. So right now, just like I said, staying laser focused when it comes down to just the market right now, Arizona, and then from there branching out, maybe like Texas, Florida area as well. But right now, just looking at this market, trying to get my feet feet wet in the first couple deals, and then I can branch out from there. I just want to have that laser focus right now on expired listings, pre-foreclosures, and kind of go off of that right now.
Right. So you're like in just Phoenix or like all over Arizona?
Yeah, so Phoenix, Glendale, there's Gilbert area. Even there's ones outside like of Waddell, Arizona as well. So a pretty, I'd say probably like anywhere that's going to be maybe about an hour, 2 hours away is fine for me. Even like a 4 hour away. That's not
like
not
radius of Phoenix, you mean?
Or of Phoenix, correct, of Metro. So, but right now, I mean, the market we've been looking at is really strongly within Phoenix itself, like central Phoenix area. Glendale, Gilbert as well, even southern Scottsdale as well. So.
Okay, so do you think that Arizona is getting saturated with with Pace being there? But Pace is bought all over the country though. I'm kind of curious.
So true. And, I've heard that a lot too. And there's a lot of heavy hitters that are in Arizona. Like everybody always says, it's like the Mecca here, which is good. I mean, honestly, it is. But I think there's so much opportunity each and every, we have so much dialed in businesses, different ways that we're doing it. That I think there's a piece of pie for everybody. And then not everybody's avatar is, even if you're talking, I could have somebody, Joe over here talking about, a pre-foreclosure, and then they just resonate with myself more than that other person that had talked to them. It could be in the same market. You just never know. So just putting yourself out there and seeing, your business model could work out better for that client at that point in time. So.
Right. And there's so many people that need help right now.
It's all true. You can't touch everybody. You're not able to touch everyone, even with all the people that are focusing on Arizona. So there's always those nuggets and those gems, or that you resonate with that person or that family.
Yeah, people that are having issues with tax liens or pre-foreclosures, or that's the great thing about creative finance is the whole idea of it is to make it a win situation for every single person.
Cool? Usually, you just to hear it for everyone too, And usually people say, "Oh, there's not a win-win for everyone," or like the whole process. But then you're like, "That's a win-win." Like even with the realtors, I know you were doing direct to agent. I know you've done a lot of DTA.
Mm-hmm.
And to have an agent, get on their good side, and you're helping them out as well. Hey, they weren't going to get any money. Like I'm going to give you money. It's like, I didn't know you can give the agent money after all that stuff. And this is pretty cool, That's a win-win.
Yeah, we help the agent out. We help the homeowner out. It has to work for us. There's title companies that get more business. Everybody. I mean, sometimes contractors. It's a win-win for everybody.
I agree. It's a bevy. Just good cheer all the way around for everyone.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I feel like there's good people in and out of SubTo in the real estate investing industry.
Agreed.
But I feel like that's like a huge difference that SubTo focuses on making it a good win for the homeowners as well, the sellers as well.
I agree on that too. And there's so many, like you said, the creative ways of just like, being my background being a mortgage loan officer. Previously I worked for Rocket Mortgage and I worked for Wells Fargo.
I left something out. Dang it.
No, you don't. No, you are so good. You're so good. I don't even know if I put it on there. But I saw it was so linear. Honestly, it was like the conversations were high, buy, and deny. If then you're done. I mean, you're talking to a lot of people. Maybe you're getting like pre-approvals. 2 or 3 approvals a day is a wonderful. That's amazing. Which is still really good to help people traditionally. Mm-hmm. But the ones that you cannot help out, it's like, hey, call us back. build this up, or we'll see you and we'll see you in 6 months to or a year or whatever it is. And there wasn't no other creative ways to get past that, at all.
Did you feel that? I'm sure you did. You're such a sweetheart.
No, you do. You feel it. You're like, I mean, you just think about it. That's like a family thing. That's like a family member or friend, or somebody that's a colleague. If you're doing that too as well, you're just like, wow. And people have tough situations. They want to get, to a home, or they want to get out of a home. It's just like, if they don't know how to do it, and not, and you just have that one linear way of traditional mortgage. It was tough to do it that way, And then it just made a lot of sense when I heard the videos from Pace, and I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. And then it kind of jogged my memory, like I said, from the real estate investing book. I was like, I think I heard about SubTo, but I never knew what it was or looked into it, And now I was like, oh,
I never heard of it at all.
Isn't that crazy?
Pace.
Isn't that crazy? I saw it and I went back. It's nuts, and I was like, wow, I knew it. I touched upon it. I didn't even really look into that section even further. I was looking at FSBOs, a lot of that.
I hadn't even heard about it with cars, and I think that was the most popular way it was done.
Yes, that's right.
Or the one that people knew about the most. Yeah.
And all the promotions out there, and then people, you still have to keep on promoting it, just like how you're doing. So, Shauna, you have to promote it, because there's people that are not going to know about it at all. I mean, it's a matter of, you got to keep on posting content, which is really good to educate people.
Yes.
So, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely. So, what are some of your passions and areas of interest outside of SubTo?
So outside, and I know you put some of this stuff up too. So previously, I DJ'd since college. So I DJ'd. I went to the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Started DJing there. It's so funny, when eBay came out, like the early 2000s. My buddy and I, Kyle Sofer, he was like, let's get on this site and then try to buy some equipment off of there. And then no one knew about eBay. It's crazy. So we were like, let's try it. And then we did it. I think he bought a watch off of there, and he tested it at first. He's like, okay, let's go buy some DJ equipment. So I bought some DJ equipment off of the eBay website when it first came out, and no one knew about it. And then they sent it in. Luckily, I paid money to get speakers and the whole nine. Came into my dorm, and I started practicing, DJing at that.
So you were the one in the college parties making all the noise.
That was me. That was me. Honestly, it's so funny. And I go by the name DJ Seismic. So I made a lot of noise in college. Yeah.
Right. Earthquakes.
Earthquakes all the time. I'm telling you, I was bottom floor, testing music, everything. And then this is during the days of records, and then burning CDs when CDs came out. So
I got
CDs,
Napster.
It was Napster. Day one on Napster. I was day one on Napster, downloading music, and then burning them to a disk drive. When it first came out, it was a Panasonic disk drive. I didn't know what burning was, but I paid $300 for it, and it started burning discs. And it was messing up, and I was testing these programs and did it. And then I was the first one to start getting a full album. So I'd go to parties and play the album before it was out, and people were like, how is he doing this and this and that? So that's how I got started, DJing really heavily. So just free parties with my friends. And
did you do any clubs, or was it just mainly parties?
Yeah. So after I graduated in 2001 from UNM, the Lobos, and I started going clubs downtown Albuquerque, and DJed there. And then after that, I went to focus mostly on corporate. So I did a lot of stuff.
Wow.
What
campus. A difference.
Yeah, it was so different. So different. And then I got into, that's so funny, I got into weddings for 15 years. And it's stressful. Oh yeah. It went really well. Yeah, it was stressful. I wouldn't imagine,
because people want everything to be perfect for a wedding day.
Oh, yeah, you had to. So I would never book a deal if it wasn't 6 months out, because I wanted to get to know the person, the family, the photographer, the coordinators, everything, to make sure everything was correct. Because I was the spokesperson for that day, and our team was our spokesperson. So I had to make sure it was on point, everything was tested and good to go, and we knew the story. So when it was time to tell the story, the bride and groom, I knew it. And that's why. So yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
So you didn't just play the music at the reception. You emceed, right?
Had to MC it. You had to do the introductions, cake cutting, everything across the board. So If I hear chicken dance one more time, I'm gonna be like, I've been playing for 15 years. Chicken dance, Mr. Cha Cha, all of them. So I've done it for so long. So funny. So I've done that, and then while prosumer cameras were getting a little bit during that time too, prosumer cameras were getting a lot cheaper, so we started getting what they call DSLR cameras, and we started filming some of the weddings, and started filming some of the artists around town, so hip hop artists, music artists, things of that nature. We started shooting music videos, and that kind of like took off as well. So we started traveling and shooting some videos.
Do you have any of those still? The recordings?
Well, YouTube, yeah, I can share them with it. 6 Mic Films. My YouTube's still up since 2000. I started YouTube in 2006.
I think I checked Instagram, but I didn't check. There's so many things for you.
Oh yeah, it's live. So I know it's so crazy. Yeah, it's been on there for a long time. My first video was 2006 when YouTube came out. I found out YouTube came out. I think like a month later I was on YouTube in 2006. So over 20, like 20, a little bit under 20 years on YouTube. The day it came out, posting videos. Yeah, it's been
go check it out.
Yeah, let's send you some links on it too. But and the common thing I was gonna tell Pace about is that we have commonality. I met like Big Boy and like Outkast when I went to Atlanta too. That's on the YouTube as well. So I know he's big into like meeting Outkast and Big Boy and all that stuff too. So we went down to their house to shoot for like a magazine shoot for, they call it Dub Magazine back in the day. So we did a shoot down there. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool times.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. Okay.
I'm a hobby. So, and very much like you, just a creative, honestly. So I love that. That's how we have a great commonality, right?
I noticed that and I was like, oh, I got to talk to this guy.
Yeah. We're the same. We're on the same page. It's so true. We just talked about before, off the podcast, was like we get caught up in that editing, and that was the biggest thing too. And actually, this year I uploaded editing to 2 people in Lithuania, which is amazing. They're doing an amazing job.
Oh wow!
So Yovil, she's in France, and then she's from Lithuania, and then Virginia or Virginia, she's Virginia, but she does all my editing. Well, so it's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. Because you've done it for so long. It's time to hand it off. Right?
Yeah. I got to focus on this. I got to study SubTo solid finance.
Yes. Yeah. You got your team going and stuff. So yeah. I mean, everything that I do and learned how to do, I'm like kind of like self-taught. So I'm right in the middle of the Gen X generation, like 71. So at my kids, if I didn't have kids so young, I mean, I remember the first time I heard about MySpace, my sister was in the military and they're like, Anna Tira says hi. And I'm like, how is she saying hi? Like, she's in Texas. What are you talking about? Look on MySpace. Oh my God, Mom. And I'm like, what's MySpace? You have a space?
Cool, right? Yeah. You could decorate all the pages back in the day too. Put jewels on them.
They used to make fun of me because I would get lost on it, right? And then my oldest one's like, "Oh my God, Mom, nobody's on MySpace anymore. You need to get a Facebook." And I'm like,
"It's so funny. What? It changes so quickly, doesn't it? It really does. So, like you're saying, keeping up on your software and everything now too, just like with what we're doing now is key. It really is. You don't want to be behind. You don't want to be behind. You want to make sure that you're progressing, which you do all the time. So,
awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. It's like we can learn it. It just takes us longer.
Yeah, it's true. I know. I can get
I remember when the internet was turned on. I was out of high school. It was the year I graduated, as a matter of fact.
Right. Those days, I know the days. I do know the days too. That's phenomenal. What kind of things are you focusing on? What's the biggest focus now for you?
So, I mean, I'm still doing DTA. For anybody who doesn't know, that's direct to agent. And I think that software that they brought up. Oh, I've been connecting with a lot of people recently. Started like making calls with Landon. Do you remember Landon?
All that brother, right? Yeah, Landon brother.
Yeah.
I saw your video you've been posting.
I'm having him on my podcast Tuesday.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we'll save the name, his Instagram handle story.
Yeah. You didn't.
You gotta tune in Tuesday. I need
Cool.
to get a clip of the video where
Yeah.
Ace and Jamil are like, "What's your Instagram handle?"
I know, right? Oh, I do remember that. You remember? Oh, yes, I remember that.
He
Yeah.
said, you know, I was talking to Jamil, and Jamil's like, "Own it. Nobody will forget you."
That's true. It's
And
marketing.
it's like when he starts talking to somebody, if they don't know who he was, he's like, "Were you a squad up?" They're like, "Yeah," and he tells them, and then they're like, "Oh."
Oh, I forgot. I remember you said that too. Like, yeah, it's that. I was like, I remember. I remember that. It's so
Oh,
funny.
hilarious.
That's awesome.
Well, I want to thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
No,
coming
thank
on
you. I
my
appreciate you.
podcast.
Yeah.
You're so welcome.
Thank
And
you.
I have all the things in the description in case anybody is watching this later. And hang back after the show, and we'll talk some more. Sound
Hey,
good?
thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, you're so welcome. All right. Talk to you soon.
Take care.